Hello, my name is Helen Conford and I'm an editorial director at Penguin Books, and I'd like to talk to you about the Junior Officers Reading Club by Patrick Hennessey, which we publish at the end of this month being May 2010. But before I talk about this book, I'm going to start by talking about Dispatches by Michael Herr, which is one of the best books about warfare that has ever been written. Michael Herr was a journalist and he covered the Vietnam War, and his book Dispatches is this incredibly compelling, honest, kind of epoch-defining book about this war, which was obviously so important in terms of America and America's psyche in the 1960s. And when I read that book, it was such a powerful experience, and I couldn't really imagine at that time that I would read something as powerful about warfare until I got in the material for Patrick Hennessey's book, The Junior Officers Reading Club. And the reason why we were so incredibly excited about trying to, become Patrick's publisher was precisely because he is this incredibly literate, articulate, university-educated boy who decides, rather than going into, what we might consider much more usual jobs for English graduates, decides to go into the army. And between the ages of, say, 21 and 26, he ended up experiencing some of the most extreme fighting that the British Army has experienced in decades, in Iraq and then most particularly in Afghanistan. And he's an incredibly honest voice about the boredom, the incredible frustrations of warfare, the incredible kind of strictures of the army, but also the sense that why it is that soldiers actually go off to fight, and what it feels like to be in a place where your humanity and your sense of yourself is stripped down to its complete minimum because you're trying to survive moment to moment. And the book is incredibly powerfully written. It's at times extremely funny. It's incredibly honest and revealing about this boy who essentially is growing up inside this war zone. And we felt that it was going to become a classic book about war in the same way as Dispatches by Michael Herr. And when we published the hardback last year, it was an incredibly humbling, sort of experience to find that readers agreed with us and thought that it was exactly that kind of book. And as a result, we're incredibly proud to have published it. The interesting thing, I think, for Patrick, if he'll allow me to speak for him when he's not here, is that at the time when we commissioned the book, his driving desire was to really bring the experience of Afghanistan into our lives. People who, when he would come back on R&R, would sort of say, it's Afghanistan, right, and then pretty immediately start to talk about the football results or who was winning on X Factor, and he felt that there was this incredible disconnect between his experiences and the way that people here in Britain were relating to them. And he wanted his book to really bridge that gap and to bring kind of an understanding of the ground truth that these soldiers are experiencing into all of our lives. In the past year, I think he would say, and it's really interesting to notice, how much more engaged the press and people in general appear to be with the fight that's happening in Afghanistan. And I think from my perspective it's been very interesting to see how that has begun on the news pages, as one would expect of the newspapers, and then has actually really moved into lots of mainstream popular culture as well. And I think that's a sign that this fight, this war in Afghanistan, is somehow epoch-defining. It's been going on for a very long time, if you think about it. It's been going on for almost a decade. And Patrick's book, from our perspective, really defines the experience of that war. And for that alone is an important book to publish. But it also is a book about, you know, kind of coming of age. And in that way, it's a book that I think so many people can read and relate to, whether they are, you know, related, you know, in some way connected to the army, or in fact not connected to the army at all, because it is about people growing up